let's come back to social media. This is something that keeps coming up in our conversation. And it's a territory that lends itself perfectly to comparisonitis. I mean, we're looking at other people's feeds, and generally these are pictures that have been, you know, handpicked and then filters put over them and captions underneath that have been carefully curated. So let's talk about social media and how we can go about using it in a healthy way if that's possible, and how writing this book maybe has changed your perspective on social media and how you go about using yours.
Yeah, so I talk a lot about this in the book, and I give so many different strategies on how to. There's a whole chapter called scroll therapy, and it's really about how to change your relationship with it so that you have a healthy relationship. I call it like a new way, an upgraded way to do social media. And there's so many different things that you can do. Um, and I'll give you just a couple of them because we'll be here forever if I give you all of them. But one thing that you can do is set healthy boundaries for yourself. So I think the first thing you need to do is look at on your phone how much time you're spending on social media a day. So know your numbers. I talk about this in the book. Know your numbers. Like, how much time are you spending on social media a day? And then look at that and ask yourself, am I happy with that? Am I happy with an hour a day? Am I happy with 4 hours a day? And be really honest with yourself. I actually share in the book how I asked my friends and family this question. And when I got them to look at their numbers, they were all so shocked. They thought, oh my gosh, that's a lot of time. And then later, I went back and asked them if they'd done anything about it, and they'd all said no, which is interesting. They were shocked with the numbers, yet they still did nothing about it. So it's like, what is that stops you from moving forward? Is it addiction? What is it? So these are some questions that you can ask yourself. So the first thing to do is like know your numbers, look at your numbers and ask yourself, am I happy with spending however long a day on social media? If the answer is yes, then great, cool. If the answer is no, then what are you going to do about it? Then I go into what you can do if your answer is no. So you can set some healthy boundaries for yourself. You can put a time limit. Most smartphones allow you to do that, where you can set time limits for specific apps, which is amazing. So whether it's like 45 minutes or 40 minutes per social media, or just for social media in general. And then it will give you a warning and say, you've hit your limit for today. I think that's really a great thing to do, just so you're aware um, of how much time you're spending on there. So that's really, really important that we look at that. Another thing to do is to not measure your self worth by your likes and your comments and your followers. I think a lot of people get so down about likes and follows and comments and, oh, this image didn't get that. And I think when you are posting, and this is what's really important, is like understand where you're posting from. Like, what is your intention? Are you posting because you want to share from your heart, or are you posting to get likes, to get comments, to get follows? And if you post from that place, you'll most likely be disappointed with the result. But if you post because you genuinely, often it's my posts that I write off the cuff and post a photo, and I put it up quite quickly, that gets the most comments and likes and traction and goes viral, compared to the ones with the perfectly curated, copy that I've spent ages curating, and the professional photo. It's so interesting. And it's it's really important that we look at the place where we're posting from. That's really important. Taking regular vacations as well from like digital detoxes is really important. I do social media free Sundays, where I do not open the apps unless I'm in the middle of a launch and it's quite important that I have to post on that day. So I try not to otherwise, if I'm not in a launch, I won't open social media on a Sunday. And then try and have a couple of holidays during the year where there's no social media, or I'll go camping where there's no phone reception, which is awesome. So doing little things like that is really helpful for your mental health. And remembering, I talk about this in the book, the highlights hypothesis, which is about remembering that social media is everyone's highlight reel. Unless someone is live streaming 24/7, then you're not getting the totality of their life. You're not getting the full scope of what's actually going on in their life. And so you can't really make assumptions about that person in their life. So you're just seeing the highlights. You're just seeing a smidge, like a snippet of their life, on stories and on their social media. So you don't know what's going on. And it's really important to remember that this is their highlight reel. It's their portfolio, for a lot of people, for influencers, think of it like an architect. They would have a portfolio or a resume. And that's what a lot of people use social media for these days. So that's another thing you can think about. And also, when you're looking at social media, it's I used to think social media was a neutral tool. And it was our intention that made it either positive or negative, but it's actually not a neutral tool. Like, these companies they monopolize on our attention. So they use the same tactics as casinos to keep you on their platform for as long as possible. And so we need to become aware of that and to make sure our habits are healthy and in alignment with what feels good and true for us. And another thing that can really help you with social media is remembering to zoom out. You're not seeing the totality of what's actually going on behind that photo. I share another story in the book about when we're in Greece, and Nick, I had to shoot some content for some brands that I was working with at that time. And we were shooting this beautiful image in Santorini. And there's me on this, the cliff with the white rooftops and the beautiful Mediterranean blue and blue water and the blue sky. And it's just the most stunning day and stunning image. And behind the photo, you can't see my, at the time, 11-year-old cranky stepson. I call him my bonus son, so over it, so tired, so hungry, so ready to go, and then you can't see my husband, who's also so over it and so hungry and wanting to go as well. And all the clothes everywhere, like, you don't see that stuff yet. And a majority of us may be aware of this, but yet we forget it, and we like to trick ourselves and think that we're still looking at these picture perfect images and that their life is perfect. But it's just our inner critic that's telling us that, oh, their life is better than yours and their life is perfect, when really, which forces us to compare, when really, like, we're all one. We're all the same. We all have the same things, different degrees, of course, but we're all human, and we all experience the same emotions and frustrations and joys. And we need to remember that, no one's life is picture perfect. And I want to encourage everyone listening to delete the word perfect and perfection from your vocabulary, because they don't exist, and they're just words that cause your inner critic to compare you to everyone else, and it's detrimental to your physical health and your mental health.